Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Koski of Fun Day. I'm back at it once again. And we continue on with the Liberator Magazine, which is a black culturalist magazine out of New Jersey. And it was written on New York, New Jersey and stuff. I'm going to drop some more stuff, historical things about the magazine, but right now we in the Liberator Magazine itself. And as you see, it says Liberator. It came out July 1965. The magazine was around for a minute. It did a lot of many different things. This one talks about revolutionary theory by Leroy Jones, minor bomb plot victims, automation in the black community, which we wanted to read about, and other things. But one article we're gonna show, and I'm gonna get deep into, which is gonna be about this video. Now, in this article, in this edition to Liberator, July 1965, we have a reply to Bayard Rustin in the Internal Revolution, written by L.P. Neal. Now, it's going to explain what Bayard Rustin did, but I'm going to give a little heads up. I said the date of this article, of this publication of the Liberator, is July 1965. Malcolm X, who was a friend of these people, they was friends with Malcolm X and they was friends with Martin Luther King. They went both ways. So there wasn't really no beef between them like that, just to make sure it was known. But they was cool with Malcolm and they was cool with Martin. And as I said, the day was July 1965, and Malcolm X had died in February this year, of that year. And Beard has had some sneak diss and shit, and it needed to be addressed. I did a video on Bayard Rustin not too long ago about one of the most unproductive black people that gets a lot of credit and stuff like that, that should get the credit he deserves. And he did a little sneak dissing, which we're gonna get into. So without further ado, we're gonna find out what it is and what Bayard Rustin, what he done did. A reply to Bayard Rustin, The Internal Revolution. At a time when the struggle for liberation is taking place throughout the world, along sharply nationalistic lines, and questions that persist among the non-white world, or the third world, if you will. Questions about old and new values and the necessity of change. Very fundamental changes in order of things. Change in the idea of order, changes in the idea of constitutes a civilized society, and one constitutes a humane or soulful person in these emotional, unstable times. It is easy to forget what a particular mission in life must be, and what this mission in life must be beyond of any few personal considerations. This latter finally emerges the core of our dilemmas, for we have lived in a society which has abrogated both collective and individual responsibility. A society that is devoid of guidelines for bringing about the necessary internal and spiritual changes which enable us to move forward towards our destinies. Therefore, the Muslims represent, at least initially, an important philosophical and religious thrust into the history of our struggle for the survival in this graveyard of North America. Coming with a message of spiritual redemption and translated into physical and objective terms was very inspirational to many of us who are both spiritually and culturally alienated in a society that basically has no way of relating to us. Rustin, in his dissidence, the phenomena of the Rustins and many other of his persuasions is that these changes were seen to affect the emotional and political lives of our brothers and sisters seems to be completely beyond them. By this, I don't mean that they are not aware of the suffering of Black people or the collective and individual rage that Black people feel in this society. But more fundamentally, they are unaware of the basic upheavals taking place in the whole world of spiritual, social, and cultural values. They have been busy cultivating their Western tastes and values too long to see or hear anything else. This lack of Black awareness therefore leads to a thorough Western analysis of our needs and ideas. This kind of analysis is not wedded to the soul of Black people because it lacks Black spirituality and emotional content. It is never enough. Rustin's article in The Dissent, written with a white leftist, Tom Kahn, is an example of such coldness and as lose wrong, and instinctively, in that they will be right. The force we want to is 20 million spooks storming America with furious cries of unstoppable weapons. We want actual explosions and actual brutality. And APIOC is crumbling, and we must give it space and hushness of its actual demise. The revolutionary theory, which is now people with victims, will soon be people with new kinds of heroes. Not the weak Hamlets debating whether or not they're ready to die for what is on their minds, but men and women minds digging out from under thousands of years of high art and weak-faced dalliances. We must make an art that will function as to call down the actual wrath of the world spirit. We are witch doctors and assassins, but we will open a place for true scientists to expand our consciousness. This is the theater of assault. The play will split into heavens and call us the destruction of America. The heroes will be Crazy Horse, Dermar Vesey, Patrice Lumumba, but not history, not memory, not sad sentiments groping for the warmth of our despair. These will be new men, new heroes, and their enemies, most of you who are reading this. The attitude of the holier-than-thou white writers when discussing Malcolm X or revolutionary nationalism. We learned that Malcolm did not have a program, as if Rustin and KF do. That he strove to retrieve the Negro shattered manhood amongst the wretches of slavery and from the degrees of matriarchy and family instability, from poverty and narcotics, from conditioned aimlessness, self-hatred, and chaos. He cannot succeed because these are not the problems that can be exercised by religious mysticism or enunciation rhetoric. What is required is a strategy for social change. And Malcolm was not willing, except perhaps when it was too late, to abandon the premise which had made him a program, in his program, a maze of contradictions. Now, that was Bayard Rustin speaking. He's speaking on Malcolm X. Just want to make sure we understand that. That he strove to retrieve the Negro. This is Bayard Rustin. That he strove to retrieve the Negro's straddling manhood from the records of slavery, from the reeds of matriarch and family instability, from poverty and narcotics, from conditioned aimlessness, self-hatred, and chaos. He cannot succeed because these crimes that cannot be exercised by religious mysticism or denunciation rhetoric. What is required is a strategy for social change, and Malcolm was not willing, except perhaps when it was too late, to abandon the premises which made him and his program a maze of contradiction. Rustin's commitment to an anti-human society. As we read these words, we recall Rustin's program. He was the chief organizer. He was the chief organizer on the March on Washington. And we recall his program, which, again, is an orientation was further from the needs and aspirations of Black people. Indeed, Malcolm has ever espoused. Rustin's program commits itself to a society which at its root, anti-human and devoid of spiritual content. At this point, it should be noted that despite Rustin's 20 years commitment to white power structure, he has been relieved of all of his executive titles and positions. Rumor has it that after being run off the scene of Harlem last summer in 1964, during a rise by militant Blacks, the power structure finally decided that Rustin spoke for no one, represented no one, except possibly himself. Malcolm told the truth. He made his commitment more soulful world by attacking the whole range of values and psychological barriers which have kept Black people in a semi-colonized condition. Malcolm was a soul messenger, a bearer of a kind of spiritual truth, and as such to call upon others with technical orientation to involve an apparently apparatus to decide what programs is worth it. Considering the times and direction, not only the national struggle, but the world struggle. Afro-Americans, Malcolm explained, are directly tied to the world struggle, and we are advised to internationalize their struggle. The OAAU, as Malcolm envisioned it, was the first real step towards revolutionary Black unity ever taken in this country. It is a unity necessity frowned upon by Rustins and the farmers who openly compete with each other for government favors and white acceptance. Malcolm stands as a Black man itself was a program. Black manhood. Rustin may have been irritated at Justice Davis' statement that Malcolm was our shining Black manhood, but millions of Black men and women were not. They have had their experiences with the acceptable Negro leadership. They have gotten vibrations from the effeminate projections of Rustins, the flabby orientation of the farmers, and the shuffling acts of the kings. They understand that Malcolm was not a petty bourgeoisie, a concept of manhood, but instead deeply rooted in something beautiful and ancient, and as deeply courageous since it conditioned not by the sterile intellectualism, but by the facts of survival in a world dominated by beasts of prey. The Western white man is a real creature of violence, and the rest of the world is defending itself from its beastliness. Malcolm did not break down. He did not give himself to self-pity, but did his work until the end. The Rustins would disagree vehemently, but they have been given in. They are broken down by advocating a narrow philosophy of nonviolence, and more fundamentally, by the acceptance of the ethnic work of life that will not liberate Black people. The ethic that will essentially make us American Negroes who want to be decadently American. Freakishly was a slang term for an effeminate, a slang term for Bayard Rustin's homosexuality. Fat and fairly satisfied with the direction this country is taking vis a vis emerging in a new world. Do not understand the international nature of our struggle. The failure of the civil rights intellectuals to understand those ideas that was first articulated for us by Garvey and Du Bois, and then transformed into concrete programs in African and Asian, has affected their attitude towards local politics in the Black community. The parallels that we find in Freyon's book, Wretched of the Earth, between our struggle and that of our colonialized brothers and sisters in other parts of the world, illustrate clearly what a people must do to liberate themselves. The Black youth of Harlem called for Malcolm during the uprising last summer. Understanding the nature of the kind of struggle Black people we must ultimately wage, they distinctly sought a Black leader when they felt measured up to the task. Yes, we remember you, Bayard Rustin, on that day. You came off sounding remotely and freakishly. The nature of your alienation deeper than even James Farmer's. Bernard, I ask you, what kind of program would you have to satisfy us then? The question remains, what kind of program? Malcolm knew that the only real program for Black people lay in the area of Black unity, Black spirituality, and intellectual awakening, Black leadership, and a Mau-Mau-like commitment to change. And this is hard enough because it let the chips fall on the floor. It warned those who will ever get themselves together and do so, and pay a painful price that this process will exert on us. But the Bayard Rustins who fought among us must also not be allowed to speak of our blood with so much disrespect. It will be better if they exercise the same restraint to attack in print, as well as they exercise when the physical indignities are exacted upon their bodies. And there you have it. That was it right there about the letter to Bayard Rustin. Now, Bayard, he was out of pocket, talking about Malcolm X having no program and stuff like that. And if you look at one of the speeches that's here on YouTube that going around when he debates Bayard Rustin, he snapped and cut into Bayard about that. You know what I'm saying? And as you see later on, people went with Malcolm X anyway. That's who they wanted as a leadership. It was a people leadership. So Bayard really didn't have no juice but to go back to his white liberal friends and be up under that umbrella, which eventually he left the white liberals and started going to the white conservatives because he was down around Reagan too. But it just shows you that he was just an opportunist of the worst kind. He really didn't have a nationalistic thought. Bayard Rustin didn't really have a nationalistic thought until it came down to Zionism and the Jews, which whom he rejected tooth and nail. You know, he tells you to act nonviolent, his own people. But then when it came to the Jews doing what they was doing to Arabs in Palestine, he told them, blow them Arabs away. Have no mercy and blow them Arabs away. You got to do it for the Lord. He brought in this, even the spiritual contents of it. You got to do it for the Lord. You know what I'm saying? When it came to his own people, he told us to act nonviolent. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have a spirituality type thing. And the rhetoric was that we cannot do it by ourselves. We need help. And we was a shameful people. You know? And that's why I'm glad they called him out on this feminineness and this freakishly nature that he has. And I'm glad they made a real cut about it and made it well known about that. That you can't run it doing all this freakishly nasty stuff. You know what I'm saying? As I said before, the Rustins would have vehemently disagree, but they have given in and have been broken by advocating a narrow philosophy of nonviolence and more fundamentally by the acceptance of ethic towards life that will not liberate black people. They had no plans to liberate black people. And essentially making us American Negroes who want to be definitely Americans. Freakishly, you know, that's very perverse in sexual nature, fat, and fairly satisfied with the direction this country is taking, be up this emerging in the new world. Basically making us an emulation of the white man himself. So that's why I really can't understand why Bayard Rustin, are they trying to put Bayard Rustin on a pedestal when he was just an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? He did whatever his friends, his liberal friends, and his conservative friends told him to do. Anywho, we started this out way back when in 1964. Anywho, this is Koski of Fun Day, saying much love to you and yours. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing more stuff like this and some other things, you know what I'm saying, we got coming down the pipeline. Thank you for watching, and much love to you and yours. Peace.